Okay, studio silence, please. Mic is up. Good morning, Lagos, and thanks for being a part of the show this morning. It's your Love Music, Love Life station, Smith 98.1. It's time for Freshly Pressed 981, where we take you through the national news stories with detailed analysis. I'm Ayo Mairesi.
And my name is Valentine Obu. Good morning.
Joining us for detailed analysis or to analyze our stories this morning, we have Walaon. Morning, Walaon.
Morning, Ayo. Morning, Valentine. And morning, Lagos.
Morning. Walaon is at Mr. G Quest on Twitter. We have also Uti with us. Good morning, Uti.
Morning, Ayo. Morning, Valentine. Hello, Lagos.
Uti's at I am Sivanti on Twitter.
That's the nicest Twitter handle.
I believe so too. Mr. G Quest used to be at the top, but Sivanti has toppled her.
Ooh,
Just as we will.
I never knew I was at the top.
Yeah, your handle is.
I've been toppled.
G Quest.
Yeah.
It just sounds so.
Yeah, it sounds like an antivirus.
I thought you were gonna.
Thank you very much, Valentine.
All right, so I guess
That wasn't what I was gonna say.
The
I
first
know,
conversation
you're very
would
kind.
be, what's your Twitter handle? Is it cool enough? Send it to us.
Wow.
But you can send to us, tweet at us at smooth981fm. Use the hashtag freshly pressed 981 on WhatsApp.
Yes, WhatsApp number for messages is 0809 444 That's 0809 444 And we're streaming live on YouTube.
Yes, we are. All right, let's go to our first story here. Mr. Bola and Mr. G Quest. I'll come to you for this one. There's trouble in the jungle. Amotekun can't be legal if HISPA, Civilian Task Force, are lawful. That's the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum telling the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, who declared that Amotekun, which is the Southwest Security outfit, he declared that it was illegal. Please take us through the story, Balaun.
This is quite an interesting story, and once more we're at this junction where we feel like we are making 3 steps forward and 5 steps backwards. It's been debated anyway for quite a while when the Southwest governors came together and decided that they were going to constitute a regional security outfit to protect the lives of the citizens of the Southwest.
Yeah.
And we noticed this when this was constituted sometime last week, and there were only 3 out of the Southwest, 6 Southwest governors that did appear, and that was the Oyo State governor,
Yes.
the Osun State governor, and also the
Lagos.
Ondo State. No,
Lagos.
Ondo State. Lagos wasn't present.
Yes.
Lagos
Ondo
wasn't
State,
present,
yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't present.
Yeah.
That were present at that inauguration, and this sparked a lot of rumors and speculations that they were all not in this together, and there's a lot of issues that is going on with the government, and the federal government is probably not in agreement with this new institution or this security outfit that has been put in place. Now, a week later, the federal government has finally come up with their position, which was done by the AGF, Attorney General of the Federation, that's Malami, who stated that this was unconstitutional,
Yeah.
and that this was not included in the provisions of the Constitution. And what was provisioned for were security outfits such as the police, the military, and the Air Force are constituted to protect the lives of the innocent citizens of Nigerians. And creating another alternative security outfit is not in consonance with the Constitution.
Yeah.
Now, the other statement that was also made by the Attorney General of the Federation was that he wasn't exactly consulted or carried along. Now, the question that we should be asking is this truly unconstitutional?
Yes.
If we're talking about what is within the ambit of the law and the Constitution. Secondly, is this in the best interest of the citizens of the Southwestern region? When we're looking at security of lives and properties, I think that needs to take paramount over anything else. I mean, it's a known fact that the security apparatus that we have in this country is underperforming when it comes to the security of lives and properties. Right now, at present, we know we have serious security challenges when it comes to kidnapping, when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to banditry as well. There is a lot going on in the Southwestern region, and as such, in my own best opinion, I think the federal government has made a wrong step by calling this an illegal entity. I mean, we need to be having this discussion.
Yes.
Secondly, what I wanted to point out as well too is that I remember quite well that even the vice president was also talking about decentralizing the security outfit at some point. And I mean, we've been having this conversation ongoing, and it was thought that the federal government was going to agree with this, and only to find out that they're now saying that this is an illegal entity. So right now, at the moment, we're at the junction where I believe, of course, the Southwestern governor's huge challenges, it should be taken to court, which is what the Southern and Middle Belt leaders are talking about. And it should be challenged in court. And I do agree that it should.
But how about the argument? Sivanti, Uti, when you think about the comparison that was made in reaction to this story, we have some people, alluded to Mieti.
Let me just play devil's advocate here. I think that calling it illegal, let's be fair, you have to follow the rule of law. So yes, we've had numerous discussions around wanting to enact state police, but we do have a constitution. Whether you agree that Malami has the right to interpret it or has the right to speak on behalf of the federal government is neither here nor there. If you want to protect the lives of your citizens and you want to the motive of this is really what it's supposed to be, then go and enact laws. Let's do it the right way so that people can't poke holes. Because really, I sat here when this story broke last week, I was waiting for this. I was like, let's see how people are going to react. We can't play on the sentiment of our citizenry. We must follow the rule of law. So if we're going to enact state police, more important for me in terms of all of this that is happening, how did the state government intend to fund this?
They have security votes.
They have, but okay.
So it's the minimum wage. You're going to that conversation.
So I was just going to say that. How do you? And the thing is, if you're able to pull all these human resources from OPC, from all these various units, you say you're already working with vigilante groups. Why don't we work out something with the police where we can actually empower these people to join the police force? And then you can grow the police force rather than constantly trying to fragment it. If not, if you're going to fragment it, then follow this state police, follow that process to conclusion. But every time it comes, we talk about it, then it go away, something else happens, we talk about state police, and then we go away. We can't keep doing this, but I'm sorry, I think that it is illegal if it doesn't follow the rule of law. If the Constitution says it's the federal police, then that's what it is.
Thank you so much. I think we're going to have this. If we continue, we'll have the debate for the next 30 minutes or 20. So let's read comments, and then we'll come back to our next story.
Coming from Badagry sent the message on WhatsApp. It said during Obasanjo's administration, the Northwest and the Northeast established Sharia law with the then governments, which the then governments said nothing about. So in the same vein, it'd be uncultured and absolutely uncalled for the PMB-led government to call Operation Amatekun illegal. Solomon here says, didn't the press report that the IG gave his support for the formation of this outfit? Actually, he was called in for the first deliberations that was had. He continues to say, why do we have to politicize everything and color it with ethnic sentiments? And what was the AGF looking at when the perpetrators were preparations were being made? Plenty questions.
All right. We have Kenneth who says governments have failed in its responsibility to protect lives and property. The herdsmen were terrorizing the whole country. No single arrest were made.
Right. Justin AJ weighs in on this matter, on the Amatekun issue, says, on that, doing the right thing for the wrong reasons is problematic. This isn't about security, in my opinion. It's politics. The Constitution is clear.
Because his own people have not been shot.
Change it first before playing that card. And we'll move on.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, like I mentioned, we'll continue this conversation later on. Don't forget to go online, use the hashtag FreshlyPress981 to state your point. We move on to our next story, Uti. Supreme Court sacks PDP's Ihedioha as Imo governor. Very short story from the Guardian newspaper, straight to the point, but please take us through this.
So yeah, I was surprised that it was reported so succinctly. But the fact is, or the crux of the matter is, a 7-man panel has declared, or rather stated, that the 30,000 votes that were excluded unlawfully and have been added back into his kitty of votes, which then puts him at the top. I find this story, when I was looking through it, all through. I mean, it's been trending all last night,
Yes.
and everybody was going, "Oh, the magic of going from number 4 to number 1."
Mm.
And for me, it was really trying to dig. How did this happen? Where did we find? And then I see the story that says 230 something odd thousand votes have been found. What
From
else?
where?
Well,
Ah,
yeah, that's a
So
good
that was
question.
my question. I said, was APC the only party to have votes excluded?
Mm.
So what was the rationale for simply taking the votes that were excluded for APC? It would be nice to see if votes were excluded for all the other parties. If you're going to admit one, admit all. Why did the Uche Nwosu from AA, why did he step down? Why did he take down his appeal? It felt like this was a well orchestrated plan. And so many people were talking about what happened in Zamfara and how, oh, when it was PDP, nobody was
No one said
shouting, and now everybody's going after Tanko.
Funny enough, that was a different case. In that case, APC didn't have its act together.
They didn't have
so
their primaries,
PDP
yes.
only benefited. In this case, what the heaven is unlawfully exclusion? What does that mean? Now, I read the judgment, right? And it said that the 388 polling units were excluded because INEC counseled them because they were forged.
Oh, yeah.
And during the tribunal, INEC could not prove the forgery. I don't understand that. What do you mean that you could not prove the forgery? Where were the polling? Where were the
They were
ballots?
virtual.
Did they disappear?
But is this not what we talk about with regards to coming to a case without being fully prepared? So many times, as we've seen in EFCC, for instance, we have solid
No,
cases or what we assume.
who is petitioning? Hope Uzodinma said that he was unlawfully excluded. The burden is on INEC.
That's what I'm saying. So if INEC didn't provide enough proof to the courts, then the courts would have to rule based
So
on
we
what
shouldn't
they
take
have.
what INEC says again. That's what it means. The INEC on sentiment
But
can
INEC
just say, okay, I'm barring 14 these votes
Polling
without any
units, yeah.
proof. I
Well,
don't get this.
Thank you. That's a good point. And again, it
How?
talks about not just INEC, but other government agencies that don't come to the petition with full proof of what they're or to defend their case. And it's quite unfortunate.
And what is the sanction for INEC misbehaving?
All right, thank you, Divo. Let's take some comments.
All right. Thank you very much.
You know, we've been praying for
Chibuna-
Imo. Imo's had it very bad for a long
Chibuna,
time.
we know you're a stakeholder. Chibuna says Imo has become like a typhoid patient. I went to the hospital for treatment and got infected with HIV.
You see now?
All right.
This is a long message. She does here. Thank you very much. We acknowledge you. Cautious from Ojo says, has the AGF turned court to pronounce the Amatekun non-constitutional? Well, no, it's just going by interpreting the laws of the Constitution, or rather provisions of the Constitution. And Kenneth says, any group that joins police force starts collecting stuff at the checkpoint, you know now. And another one from Bemi.
All right, then Bemi says, they say he who pays the piper dictates the tune. As a lawyer, I totally can no longer deny the clear fact that the judiciary is a puppet in the hands of the executive. Well, thank you, Bemi, and thanks to everyone who sent in messages.
Yes.
On to the next story.
All right, our next story is to you, Divo. Senate proposes establishment of the National Agency for the Control of Hepatitis. When I saw the story, I thought, oh, well, it's an expectation that everybody should already know this, or rather that the federal government should have acted earlier. But what are your thoughts regarding this?
Well, in light of our scarce budget, I'm wondering how they came up with this idea, because when you establish an agency or a commission or even a ministry, it comes with a lot of allocation, and that we can't afford now. Some initiatives can be taken through with projects or exercises or operations. I don't think it's necessary to create a whole agency just to eradicate hepatitis. Now, what is hepatitis? It is a inflammatory condition of the liver, right? And it comes by viral infection, sometimes blood transfusion, alcohol, toxins, drugs, etc. And yes, it is a silent killer. Many people do not know when they're infected. So, and you only have one liver, and you hardly can find someone who can give you a replacement liver, talk less of even affording it. So, it is right that they're trying to address the matter, but I don't think it required a whole agency. Nevertheless, I think what was germane in this fact is that they reviewed a bill on the use of a blood transfusion, how they can make it safer for patients, etc., because this is a channel in which the virus is spread. I think that's very key, not even just for hepatitis, but if you're aware of the issues that go on with blood transfusion in Nigeria, the articulation that goes with it to ensure that carefulness is carried out to ensure that people don't get the wrong blood.
Mm.
Blood is available.
Yes.
Many people have died in hospitals simply because there was no blood. As simple as that. And even I hope in that bill it has something to do with the funding, the promotion. Many of us have excess blood, and I'm saying this out there. Please go out and donate
Yeah.
blood. The hospitals and medical centers are in dear need of it.
But that's actually just looking at it from one angle. We
Mm.
know that the underlying factors, the causative factors, usually go beyond that. There's poor sanitation, lack of safe
Right.
water, there's hygiene, living in a household with an infected person,
Mhm.
sex between men, traveling to areas of high endemicity without being immunized. All these things,
Mhm.
shouldn't they get the most attention other than just pushing
That's
a bill?
that's what I'm saying.
Mm.
If not for the lackadaisical attitude or the weak performance of our ministries or agencies, a department within the ministry should be able to deal with this effectively.
Yeah.
Like I said, creating a whole agency, then you get a DG, you get a building, you get a whole retinue of staff, etc.
Mm.
That's just too much at this point in time.
Right.
I mean, we have so many needs, we can't take care of all of them.
All right. Thank you very much, Divo. We move on to our next story. Bola, I'll come to you for this. Nigerian passports ranked among the world's weakest. So just before the Imo State news broke, this was what was trending with regards to the fact that the Nigerian passport, according to the Henley Passport Index, has been ranked number 95, tying with Djibouti out of 199. Please take us through this story.
I mean, I'm sure this doesn't come to a surprise to anybody anyway, especially when you travel to various countries and then you see the treatment that other nationalities get versus the treatment that the green passport holders also get. A lot of times you're at the queue for quite much longer, and you're sometimes segregated from the rest of the travelers. Step aside, exactly. So this is the report, and the report normally it's conducted by the LA Index, and is usually done annually. This is a very current report,
For
and
2019.
for 2020.
2019.
Is it 2019 or 2020? This says
2020.
2020 index.
2020
Henley
passport index, it says. So, and it states that Nigeria is ranked 95th out of 199 countries. And the way they do this ranking is based on the number of countries that you can gain access to without necessarily applying for a visa before arrival.
Yeah.
So if you can get access into various countries without necessarily applying for a visa, you get 1 point for that. But if you have to apply for a visa before going to various destinations, then you get 0 for that. And out of 277 travel destination sites, Nigeria has access to only 46 countries out of that 277. Now, when we compare this to the rest of the world, of course, I don't want to compare it with countries like Japan, that has 191
that's too far.
access. Let's go down to countries,
African countries.
countries, exactly. So I'll compare this to South Africa. South Africa
Not
ranks.
even taking it too high. Please,
Oh
let's
my
calm
gosh.
down.
I mean, we're meant to be the giant.
Yes.
We're meant to be the giant of Africa.
Let me tell you.
So,
some
but if we go to
countries-
Ghana then, because I mean, a lot of times we always compare ourselves to Ghana. We always see Ghana as the little brother,
Yes.
while we are the big brother. Okay, let's go to Ghana. Ghana ranks 78, and Ghana you can get access to 65 countries out of the 277 countries.
Well, let me tell you some of the countries that rank higher than we do. Liberia, let that sink in. Cameroon, Egypt, Angola. These are countries that on a normal day you think, of course, Nigeria's passports should be stronger, but
Absolutely.
they are at number 93 position. We're lagging behind. at
Foreign
95.
policy.
But exactly, that's where I was going.
Foreign
It raises a lot of
policy is
questions.
dead. It's not
Absolutely.
working. Even our brothers Ubuntu in South Africa, we can't even get it
No,
together.
yeah.
And aside the foreign policies as well, to what damage has the citizens, Nigerian citizens, also done to the
Their
passport
actions.
while traveling abroad?
Yeah.
I mean, the Nigerian passport and Nigerians, we don't have a good reputation while we travel abroad. And the onus is also on us to do good, because of course when you travel abroad you're also presenting the image of that country.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
but
very
trust me, they
important.
don't talk about behavior when they're discussing foreign policy. When your foreign minister your diplomats, etc., are not doing their job to ensure
No, but
that.
It's a combination
yeah,
of
it's a
those.
combination
Devo.
because
It's a combination.
Foreign
Devo, when
policy is not about bad behavior.
of course it's not Devo, but I'm talking about the strength of our passport.
Mhm.
Why would they restrict our citizens from entry into certain countries? Because we abuse the privileges, and because of the situation or the state of our economy, we're looking for ways to escape. So you give someone a 6-month visiting visa and the person spends 10 years in your country. Why would you not restrict access to your country
It's got nothing to do with foreign
passport holders?
policy.
So yes, no,
Everything to
so
do
yes,
with-
so hold on. So foreign policy has its place, but also I
Absolutely.
like the fact that Bola highlights the importance of our own responsibility to push in, the strength of our passport. It's important that we also share
Yes,
responsibilities
but that
in the
is
States.
by way of instruction, by way of morality. But the truth is, access into another country is a decision, a discussion between two countries for economic reasons, for diplomatic reasons. That is it's a job that needs to be done. That's why we failed in all these things. Like I said, let me give you this example. South Africa. How did we lose our free entry status into South Africa? Find out where we dropped the ball.
Right.
But yes, before we lay this story to rest, let's just highlight the factors that could influence this Henley report.
Yeah.
We've established diplomatic relations,
Yeah.
international relations with other countries,
Reciprocity,
reciprocity. There's talent migration.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget those things. So
which is a good thing.
and in some way, migration actually
what
still
degree?
contributes to talent. So if you move to countries where there's a social protection, whatever, that envelopes you. For instance, you go to Canada.
Oh,
That's
well,
a famous destination.
that's a famous
You
destination.
have social security, and the government provides a good platform for you to, flesh your skills and even learn more. Some of these other issues as well.
All right. Thank you very much. So, for Uche, going back to the governor, Emeka Hedioha's story, says that Imo became the least corrupt state under his administration, and it's a sad situation for Imo. I weep for this kind of legal system, according to Foruche. And then on this passport issue, Felix Ayan says this passport issue is caused by the negative attitude of some of our citizens who represent the image of Nigeria out there. Our attitude should change positively to make way for others.
Interesting. Vanguard newspaper has this next story. This time around, sorry about that. This one's for you, Uti. The heightened port congestion is the conversation here. Customs agents are raising alarm over the diversion of cargo to Cameroon. Are you are you wondering why they're raising alarm? Didn't they see this coming, or did you see this coming?
I think we all saw this coming,
Yeah.
and I think that this is when you look at this, you think there's so many issues for a company that for a country that is so import dependent. You would think that our focus would be on how to make this process as easy as possible, as smooth as possible. 80% of the cargo traffic that comes into this country comes in through Lagos. It puts immense pressure on our road infrastructure. It puts immense pressure on our ports. Now, the process of even clearing your goods out of the port is ridiculous. We have to streamline that process. From the high cost of demurrage, from the amount of money you need to spend in bribes. If anyone has ever tried to get
Levies.
so if you try, even the levies are even, would I say, the lawful. What you have to spend in bribes just to get your goods out of the port is ridiculous.
I'll give you a
And
clear example, just to add to what you're saying. The other day we had the story that we treated where the Ministry of Aviation was complaining that the Cat 3 equipment, the instrument landing systems, were held at the port for months, and that's the reason why it hasn't been installed at the airport. We know they are duty free, especially because it belongs to the federal government. But the cost, they were having a back and forth.
And we hear these kind of stories all the time. It cuts across board. But the fact is, this story for me just says what's happening in Lagos right now is not sustainable. It's going to continue to put pressure on Lagos State. It's going to continue to put pressure on the entire country. We have ports in other parts of the country, and those ports need to be fully functional. You have even the retail prices that we pay for goods is affected by this same process. So if you have ports in Delta, if you have ports in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in One, those ports need to be fully functional. What does it take for those ports to be fully functional? It is only in Lagos State that we have a maintenance dredging of the channels that the vessels come into the ports from. What is happening in those other states? That same process is because if you have goods, if you're in the southeast and you have your goods coming in, it's better for you for it to come in from Calabar rather than for it to come in from Lagos. So it really is something that we have to look at in terms of how we're going to make all these other ports functional. And that's all this story is pointing out.
But I'm curious though, Uti, just before you round up, is it a problem of lack of political will on the part of the government, or just no money? And because Lagos, we know, is highly industrialized. We know there's a larger percentage of private companies. So is there a way or possibility that some of these private companies could be contributing to the development of the port here, or maintenance of it, or the running of it in some way, shape, or form?
Well, okay.
Sorry, can I just quickly add that, with the question that you just asked us also, I think the problem that we also do have is that we also do not plan in advance. So, of course, when you're talking about this congestion at the ports, and the port facilities are facilities that have been built uh, decades ago. We're talking since the 60s or
Well,
70s.
same with other ports. Most other ports.
No. But what you do is obviously, what you do is that you also move with the trend as well. To the amount of containers and vessels that are coming into that port has increased over the years, and we haven't actually scaled up our capacity as well to meet up with the demand at the port. So I mean, the other thing that you should also bear in mind as well too, is that we've also had the border closure too. And of course, a lot of goods that were supposed to have been going to the rest of it are now also coming into the Lagos ports now, adding more problem to what we have. So what we're seeing now, we're also still most likely going to see more of that in the future if the government doesn't also scale up on the capacity.
May I add that we are our own evil and
Absolutely.
problem in Nigeria. You see, it's not planning. They knew.
Yeah.
There's vested interest in Nigeria that has held Calabar, Warri, and Port Harcourt down till date. One find out why you would have options and you would, in the face of options, close your eyes to it.
Yes, we know the problems, solutions.
Political will. Nigerians need to stand up and vote a government that can do what is right.
All right, Divo, now that you have the mic.
In the face of options, close your eyes to it.
Yes, we know the problems, solutions.
Political will. Nigerians need to stand up and vote a government that can do what is right.
All right, Divo, now that you have the mic, let me ask you to take us through the story from the Punch newspaper. 15-year outage. Youth block Ibom power plant with corpses. They lined up 8 corpses in front of a power company that's supposed to have provided power to them in over a year. They said they've been clamoring for this. Never happened.
15 years. Well, the youth president of the Ikotabasi village, mentioned that the residents have been without electricity for 15 years. I repeat, 15 years, despite hosting Ibom power plants. As AY would say, let that sink in. You have a power plant in front of you. You wake up to a power plant and yet you don't have light. I'm sure the children, when they're being born, they start to ask their parents questions. Mommy, what's that thing in front of our house?
Transformer.
It's a power plant. What does it do? It produces electricity, but we don't see it.
What is electricity?
Now,
so the reason why I mentioned transformer is that the state
governor came around to abate it and provided transformers for which light was not passed through. Now, let's bring some enlightenment to this. Unfortunately, it's a Genco. A Genco does not provide direct light to the people, all right? So that's the reason why Ibom Power Plant is actually not responsible for providing light to that community. It will pass through transmission, then get to the disc. I don't know the disc that addresses that area. That's what they need to do. Now, unfortunately, I think, and I know that it doesn't make any sense to anyone, on behalf of corporate social responsibility and sustainable operation, Gencos may need to consider their host communities to be able to avoid situations like this. This same thing happened with oil companies and the host communities. What started as aggression and agitation now became militancy. So before these youths become militant, Ibom power plants, please try. We beg you. We know it's not your duty, but just try.
From the Vanguard newspaper, I'll go to this next story. Uti, the federal government says that it secured $1.46 billion to fund completion of Ajaokuta Steel. The project has been moribund since the 60s. What are your thoughts, please?
So this was 1.46 billion that has been secured by the federal government to revive Ajaokuta Steel. In my entire lifetime, I don't think Ajaokuta has ever been functional.
No.
And I think that this is now giving us some hope, saying that by 2022 it should be fully functional. We're looking at $1 billion coming in from Russia, which for me is a point of concern. I think that if you look at what's happening globally, we've seen what China has done in other countries with their precious metals, and it's, for me, important that as we go into this, while it's excellent that we're bringing money into the country, we're bringing investment in, we need to develop our own capacity, because the story tells us that it's going to be run by Russian experts. But we need to make sure that we are also able to develop our own local capacity to be able to run this going forward, because we don't want to end up being held to ransom by Russia because they've given us this money. So it's quite important. But I think that it's in terms of what it's going to achieve for Nigeria, I think it's fantastic. I think that we have the opportunity here. Steel is becoming more and more valuable, as the case may be. And I think that this will be amazing for us in terms of what it can do, income for us in terms of export.
There's
All
a
right.
bird
What do you
flying
think
in
will be
the air.
completed in 3 years?
No.
Elephant.
All right,
Sorry,
thank you, Uti.
there's
So
a-
Said says on WhatsApp, we have over 20 seaports in the nation, but corruption will not allow them work. And then Sean says, Ajakuta again. You can revive. You can't revive what was never alive. Oh.
White elephant.
And then Mike says,
Mike says the port congestion issue is about politics and planning. Look at the Lekki axis now. An airport, seaport, refinery, free trade zone, and a real estate explosion is looming. And instead of doing just 25 kilometers on the coastal road in the first phase to ease up traffic, our governor is removing roundabouts. The problem there will be worse than Apapa soon. Thank you.
all right,
Can we
thank you,
trust
Mike.
Russia?
Thank you to everyone who sent in comments.
we
Just as a
trust
way of
Russia?
mention, reps order NERC to halt electricity tariff hike. This was discussed in detail during Business Express 981, so you might want to go to our YouTube page to see or to listen to that. A big thanks to our analysts for this morning. Thank you so much, Bolaon. Bolaon is at Mr. Gquest on Twitter. Big thanks to you, Uti. Uti is at I am Sivanti on Twitter. And Devo Okore, who came with a lot of fire this morning, at Devo Okore on
Plenty
Twitter.
stories.
Join us on Twitter at Smooth981FM. Continue the conversation using the hashtag FreshlyPressed981.
Oh, sorry, I came late. I'm very angry.